Um, we still have some young ladies here. In many cultures, there were things about, how the young ladies, when they were of marrying age, what was supposed to happen. In some cultures, the parents were supposed to present the husband or the fiance. And these stories, there were several stories where the young women did not want to do what the parents said. They had their own minds about how things were to be. So I have read a story about a young woman who married a very handsome man, but he turned out to be a snake. I read another one where the young woman married a very handsome man who turned out to be a monkey. Okay? Then, it wasn't the girl, it was the parents. They thought she was so beautiful, and so they decided that they really needed to, make sure that she was married to somebody who was extremely handsome, well-to-do, and came from a good family, whether they knew it or not. So appearances, the parents were, impressed by appearances. And so a young man heard how these parents were impressed by appearances. And so he came one evening. It was dark, and he came with his entourage. And he was handsome to look upon. He was almost as handsome as the other young man. The one that looked like a cross between Denzel and Idris Elba. Yeah. So anyway, he comes and he speaks to the parents, and the way that he speaks to them, they feel like, oh, what a wonderful young man. Oh, yes, of course. He can have our daughter's hand in marriage. And they were married that night. And before the sun came up, they left to go to his land where he lived. And when they got there, well, everybody greeted them. All of the people were there on this island. It was, beautiful there. The greenery was green, and, the flowers were blossoming and beautiful. And the children were happy, and the grown-ups were happy, and they were singing. And before the sun went up, he said, darling, come and lay with me. And they went to bed before the sun came up. Now, she had been in the land where, you get up during the day, and so she slept for a while. And then she woke up. But when she turned, and she looked at her very handsome husband, he was no longer that. He was a skeleton. And because she was afraid, she moved her arm real quickly, and his head kind of got disjointed from the rest of his body. Now, of course, she wanted to scream, but she didn't know whether she should or shouldn't. So she decides she's going to go outside. Well, outside, all of the greenery that was green? Oh, no. It was no longer green. The flowers that had blossomed so pretty, they no longer blossomed. Everything was drooped and dying. Spider webs. And she didn't see any children or people, just skeletons. And so she picked her way she wanted to scream, you know, but she hid away. And finally, she came to this house, and that woman in there wasn't, she wasn't a skeleton, she was awake. She kind of looked like a screech owl, but she was awake. So the young woman went on in. She said, "Where am I? Where is my husband? What has happened? What is this place?" And so the screech owl looking woman explained where she was. That she was in the land of ghosts. And that they only came out at night. And that she needed to get back home before they woke up. Otherwise, her husband would be upset. They would all be upset. And the screech owly looking woman would get in trouble. Well, now, she needed to ask some more questions. She wanted to stay there, and so she stayed and she talked until the sun went down. And they came for her, the young woman. She went back reluctantly. Her husband was not a skeleton. You know, his head was on a little crooked, but he still looked good. So he brought her back home and he talked to her. He told her, "Yes, this is my life or death. You are in this land." He said, "But you wanted to come, your parents wanted you to come. So stay. And I promise you, you'll learn how to be with us." And so she did. She learned how to sleep all day and wake up at night and play around and be happy and all of that. And of course, you know, married folks, pretty soon, well, she got pregnant. Yes. And so she had a baby, and the baby, but the baby, after the baby was born, it was wrapped in many blankets, covered, so that she couldn't really look on the baby's face. And he told her, "You can't until he's a year old." She said, he told her if she looked on his face, that he wouldn't be alive. So she said, oh, I promise. So she wouldn't look on that baby's face. She held that baby, and then when the baby was 6 months old, they went back home to her home, and they came at night, of course, and everybody was so happy to see them. The father, the mother. "Oh, yes, you have done well, and you have a baby. We have a grandchild." And they were really happy about it. And she took care of that baby. And the father told her, "Look, remember, do not look upon the baby's face until after the baby is a year old." She said, "I promise." And she kept her promise. But it was just the day before the baby was to turn a year old. She went to visit friends. She left the baby with her mother. She said, "Now, Mom, please, do not look on the baby's face. Do not. Just promise me that. I won't look on the baby's face. I know how to take care of babies." And she left to visit friends. And as the grandmother rocked the baby, she said, "Oh, what harm will it do?" And she removed one covering. "It shouldn't hurt for me to be able to look on my grandchild." And she kept moving the coverings. There were 12 of them. Now, as she moved the coverings, the baby stopped cooing by the time she removed that 12 covering, she dropped the baby because it was a skeleton. Oh no. As soon as that happened, the mom of the baby, she knew something was happening. She ran back. She said, Mom, I told you, don't look on the baby. You promised me. Well, there was nothing to be done. And the husband, he came back, and he got his wife, and they picked up the skeleton of the baby, and they got back in their boats, and they rowed back to that island. When they reached the island, that is when the baby became a real person, at least in the nighttime, never in the daytime, and she never, ever returned home. So if someone tells you, don't